How's it going, guys? Cameron here with Canadian Gamer coming at you with another video. Today we're doing a little bit of a review. Not really a review, more of a kind of a final thoughts. I hate to call it a review when I don't have any gameplay footage to show for it, but today we are talking about the Saboteur. Now this game, wow. I'm going to try not to go all over the map here, but I heard about this game a long time ago. Back in the day when I first started watching retro gaming, video game YouTubers. I was watching Metal Jesus Rocks, and I was watching Escape to Gaming as well, Dean Thompson. He used to talk about this game quite a bit, and it always intrigued me. I came across it out in the wild. It was more common to see it out in the wild back around 2011, 2012, 2013. Now, not so much. The game has developed quite a cult following, and there's a huge backstory behind it. If you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, I don't know how it's pronounced, Givmers, Gvmers. They do documentaries, and one of the games they profiled last year was the Saboteur, and it's really interesting to hear the backstory regarding the studio that did this game, Pandemic. Is it Pandemic Games? Pandemic Game Studios? So Pandemic, around the early 2000s, was on a bit of a roll. They had a couple of really good games that they put out. I know one of them was it Jedi Knight Academy? One of the Star Wars games. And they had a few other really good games as well. And Electronic Arts was so impressed by Pandemic that EA purchased Pandemic. I think this is how it goes. And then once Pandemic was acquired by EA, they put out a few more games, but they weren't as well received, and a lot of the critics felt as though the games were kind of rushed out the door. We're talking 360 era at this point, PS3. They put out a couple of games that were quite buggy and not very polished, so to speak. So Pandemic had like one more kick of the can, and it was the Saboteur. This was their swan song. So this game came out, I think, in 2009. So before GTA 5, right? But it would have been after GTA 4. The reason why I bring up Grand Theft Auto is because this is very much a Grand Theft Auto clone, but there's a bit of an asterisk next to it. We'll get into it in a moment. It touches other types of genres as well. It's really, 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 really interesting stuff. But anyhow, the game came out. Maybe it was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, but it got kind of overlooked. It didn't sell well. I think the game sold less than 400,000 copies. And then shortly after this game came out, EA ended up laying off a lot of their staff, and Pandemic was shut down. Now, around this time, 2009, a lot of the publishers out there were starting to realize the money wasn't really in, these expansive open world single player experiences. The money was where the multiplayer was, right? So I think that's part of the issue as well. Again, you got a publisher like EA, and this is around, again, 2009. They don't want to see stuff like this. They want to see stuff that brings in the money, right? So it's not shocking to see why Pandemic was unfortunately shut down after this game came out. So all that being said, Pandemic went out with a bang. This game is so over the top, so amazing. I didn't even think it was going to be as good as it was, to be quite honest with you. So the game is actually loosely based on a true story, believe it or not. So the game, you play as an Irishman by the name of Sean Devlin, and which, by the way, the voice actor who voices Sean did an incredible job. Amazing. So you're an Irishman named Sean Devlin, and you're living in Paris, France, and this is the early 1900s. And France has been taken over by the Third Reich, or the Nazis, if you will. So there's Nazis all over Paris. And Sean ends up joining a resistance, a group of a couple of people, and a main, a female that plays an integral part in the story. It's a love interest, not quite a love interest, more of a, I guess in today's age you'd call it an FWB, a friend with benefits. So you gotta play it to understand. And anyways, you end up going after these Nazis, right? And so, without getting into too much more as far as the story is concerned, because really I'm not good at reiterating these types of things. Obviously, I'm not that good at it, right? You got to play the game to understand the story. Okay, I can't spit the beans out. Once you start playing the game, it does play off like a Grand Theft Auto clone. However, there are some key differences. Whenever you get into a mission and you get to your point of where you need to go, a lot of times it starts off stealth based. So most of the missions revolve around infiltrating an area that's overrun by Nazis. And if you got two options, you can either just go in guns blazing and they set off an alarm and all the Nazis come for you and they start shooting at you. It's actually not very fun because it can be a pain in the ass. Or you can go in stealth. So you have to approach the mission. Usually, like I said, it's right in Paris. So a lot of times you'll have to creep up to a building. And you've got the option to knock a guy out, a Nazi out. You can choke him out. He hits the ground. And then you can take it. You can take his uniform and you can put his uniform on. So then once you have his uniform on, then you can walk into wherever it is you need to go. And you can walk past all the other Nazis and they think you're a Nazi. As long as you walk the same way that they walk, because there's a button assigned to actually changes how you walk. You walk like this. If you don't walk like this and you just walk in like he normally walks, they'll detect you. If you walk in and you make eye contact with any of the Nazis, they'll detect you. You have to be very careful. If you're walking towards a Nazi and he's walking towards you, you kind of have to sidestep and try to make your eyes face a different direction, because if your eyes lock on, they'll hit the alarm. So it's really interesting. Once you get into a mission, even if the alarms go off and you have to go in guns blazing, shoot the place up, kill a bunch of Nazis, end the mission, go back to your base, which is in a slaughterhouse, talk to your love interest, whoever else it is you need to talk to, and continue on the story. So there are a lot of side missions. Most of them I didn't even touch because I just wanted to get through the game, because I got such a huge backlog of games to get to, unfortunately. But man, was this ever enjoyable. I fell in love with the story, even though at times I didn't quite understand what was going on. I felt emotionally invested in the characters, especially Sean. This game, for being a game that was released, I guess, just over the midway point of the Xbox 360 and the PS3's lifespan, really pushes the hardware. I don't know if it's pushing it to its limits, but it's pushing it. It's one of the best looking 7th gen games I've ever seen. The art direction is amazing. It is so good. Like, it has a certain aesthetic to it, whereas Paris is all colorful. But when you go into an area that's overrun by Nazis, the game is completely black and white. And the only thing that's colored is anything that has the swastika. Like if there's a flag on a building, it's all red, okay? If you see Nazis and they've got the swastika band around their uniform, that's red. So it's really cool to see all the black and white, and then you just have one color mixed in with it. It just brings off, like, it really pops. And I imagine if you had an HDR TV, which I do not have, it would look even better. The resolution, I feel like the game was running at 1080p. It was super sharp on my TV. It didn't look all, some of the 360 games like we talked about kind of look a bit out of place on a modern TV. Not the case with this game. It looked really sharp. I don't know if it's running at 60 frames per second, but it felt like it was. Towards the end of the game, there's a lot of explosions, and it was like, again, it was really pushing the 360 hard, and the game, in some points, it started to stutter a bit, right? Yeah, it's not a long game. It's long enough, but like, I would say, God, I don't know how long it took me to beat it. Maybe 15, 20 hours. I don't know. The missions are very varied, I guess you could say. At the end of the game, there's one mission where you actually end up on a Zeppelin, and it's flying through the. Well, obviously it's in the air. It's flying over Paris, and you have this beautiful, picturesque view of the city. You can see everything. And Sean's like, "Oh man, what an awesome view!" Well, he doesn't say awesome, but he's like, "What a view this is!" And then you step up to the edge of the Zeppelin, and you can look out. It's so awesome. It's amazing. It's so amazing. There's driving sequences as well, because Sean Devlin is a race car driver. Again, once you play the game, you'll see it. It starts off, he's a race car driver. I left that part out, and he I guess ends that career and ends up joining the resistance. So he was a race car driver. So that's the part of the story that resembles a true story that happened in real life. But anyways, I'm going on a tangent here. There are vehicles in the game that you can jump in, just like Grand Theft Auto or Mafia, and you can drive around in the city in the vehicles. But there are actual missions that involve driving a race car. I swear to God, on a race car track. It's insane, right? It's insane. The score, the music is 10 out of 10. Really good, atmospheric. It's all, how should I say it? It's not ambient. Like, there are people singing in the. It's like almost like, not crooner. Like, you know those old style of music from like the 30s? That's what you have in the game. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. The controls are very pick up and play. Again, if you've ever played a GTA game or a Mafia game, plays very similar, if not the exact same. So you put all that together, and it really blew me away. I didn't experience any glitches. The game didn't break on me whatsoever. I was never bored. I was always entertained. You can climb walls in this game. You can scale buildings like Nathan Drake in Uncharted. You can climb buildings. You can go all the way to the top like Spider-Man. It is insane what you can do in this game. It is insane. So many different weapons. You can take dynamite. You can put it on a wall. You can blow up a wall. Oh man, I loved it. Honestly, I can't believe I'm saying this because I'm a huge fan of Mafia and Mafia 2. I enjoyed this game more than the Mafia games. I enjoyed this game more than any of the Grand Theft Auto games. The only other open world game that I would say I still would probably put above this would be obviously Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. But man, I'm telling you, I put this high up on the pecking order. This is one of the best Xbox 360 7th gen games I have ever played. If you've ever heard of anyone talk about this game and you're on the fence about it, if you feel like you don't know what it's about, trust me guys, you don't know what you're missing out on. I wouldn't put this video out unless I really felt that way about this game. I don't know. I was blown. Yeah, and for someone who's kind of burned out on open world games, no, this was really good. This was really, really good. It's sad to think that we may never get a re-release or a remastered version of this game, because I think right now the only way you can play this game is if you have an Xbox 360 or a PS3, excuse me. But this would be like the perfect game to have ported to the Nintendo Switch, right? Here you've got a game that was designed for those 7th gen consoles. It would. I imagine it would run really good on the Nintendo Switch. There's no DLC that you have to purchase. All the game is included on the disc. The only thing that's not on there is what I talked about. There's like a VIP lounge, and if you have your ticket, which comes with the physical game when you would have purchased it back in the day, you can redeem the ticket code, and then you can walk into the VIP lounge, and the exotic dancers are completely naked. I don't have that code, unfortunately, but if any of you out there want to share a code with me, send it my way. But yeah, no, the last mission, spoiler alert, you're at the top of the Eiffel Tower, and you come face to face with your arch nemesis, who was a race car driver as well, turned basically a blonde, blue-eyed Hitler. And anyways, you end up blowing him away while you're at the top of the Eiffel Tower, and he goes over. And then it cues to a cutscene. And then after you beat the game, the credits roll. And after the credits roll, this is what I love about these types of games. It puts you right back into the game. Right back into the game with extra weapons and all the stuff you've accumulated. And you can go back and play all the other, I presume, side missions that I didn't actually finish. Oh, and I wanted to also mention too, while you're scaling the walls and exploring Paris, you'll come across golden periscopes. And when you find those out in the wild or in the city, it cues to a special picturesque cutscene. And it allows you to look at different areas of Paris through that periscope. So, yeah, I can't say enough good things about the Saboteur. This was the swan song for Pandemic Games. Those guys, when you actually play this game and you see all of the detail, like they obviously knew their jobs were on the line when they put this game out. They put their blood, sweat, and tears into this game. And there's just so many nice little touches here and there. The cutscenes, the dialogue, the sarcastic one-liners from Sean Devlin. I'm just blown away. It saddens me. It saddens me that this game came out and it wasn't a huge hit, because it should have been. And there's a lot of people out there that will never get a chance to play the Saboteur, but I'm telling you guys, if you have a 360 or you have a PS3 and you like open world sandbox games, and maybe you were a huge fan of Mafia, because this is a similar time period, or maybe you like Grand Theft Auto, but maybe you find those open worlds are just like way too big as far as the scope of the map is concerned, like GTA 5. Play the Saboteur. It's a big enough version of Paris, but it's not overwhelming. So anything I can criticize about this game, well, there's no option to fast track, but I can hardly call that a criticism, because it's kind of like Red Dead Redemption. When I play those games, I would want to get on my horse and traverse to where I need to go. I don't want to just fast track. And the same goes for this game. When you get in your car and you leave your base at the slaughterhouse, wherever it is you need to go, usually it doesn't take long to get there. The game's so beautiful, I want to just drive through and look at everything. I didn't explore it the way I wanted to because I was trying to rush through it, unfortunately. But the other thing I would say is the stealth mechanics. I think this was a gripe back in the day for a lot of the reviewers as well, a lot of the game journalists, but sometimes it can be a bit tricky. It's like, maybe not tricky, but it's just like it's flawed. Like you'll walk and you'll try to be as stealthy as possible, but for whatever fucking reason, they still see you and they set the alarm off. And it's like, oh my God. It's brutal. And I had one part kind of closer to the end of the game where you have to rescue your damsel in distress. And I don't know what happened. I jumped off a building the wrong way and it triggered an alarm and I died. And so it reloads back to your checkpoint. And every time it would reload back to the checkpoint, as soon as it would reload, the alarm would go off. So I had no hope in hell of ever getting through the mission. So I restarted the whole mission. I went back to that point, but instead of jumping off the building, I went down a ladder. And I, again, using my stealth mechanics, I pulled a Nazi to the ground and I took his uniform. Didn't trigger the alarm. Then I jumped on a rope because you can slide down ropes. It's awesome. I slid down the rope down to where she was. I jumped off the rope. Then it cued a cutscene. Then the Nazis came after me. I blew them all away. Me and her got in a vehicle and we took off. And at the end of the game, too, there's a mission where you end up going underground. And again, it's all kind of like black and white, but there's a little bit of sparse color here and there. And the Nazis are coming after you underground. And there's awesome cover mechanics, too, where you can just, you walk up to like a wall or like a box or a crate, and Sean will automatically go like this. And then when you go to shoot, he'll peek out and he'll go, bah, and then he'll peek back in. No, it's good. It's good. I guess I'll cut it off there, though, because we're already at the 22-minute mark. I feel like it's a bit ridiculous for me to talk about this game for 22 minutes when I don't have any gameplay to show for it. But I just wanted to enjoy the game. I didn't want to sit there and try to record video externally with my camera just so you guys could see me running around in the open world. Plus, if you're anything like me, and maybe you haven't played this game, maybe you don't want to see the spoilers. Maybe you want to experience it for yourself. So this video is not necessarily a review. It's more of a PSA. I want to get the word out there. I want to let you guys know if you're interested in the Saboteur, or if you thought about it, you're curious about it. I wouldn't say this if I didn't mean it, guys. The game fucking blew me away. It blew me away. It's definitely now in my short running of like top 5 Xbox 360 PS3 games of all time. I would put the Saboteur on there. It was just amazing. Amazing. I like it way more than any of the Grand Theft Auto games. I like it way more than Mafia 1 Remastered. And I like it way more than Mafia 2. And I can't say enough good things about it. I'm glad I had the chance to be able to experience it and play it through. And be able to tell you guys and give you guys a recommendation on this game. Because at the end of the day, you know, I don't always see eye to eye with Dean Thompson. But I kind of have to thank the guy, because if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have even known about this game. So hopefully, for any of you guys watching this video, because I don't expect a lot of people to watch it, but you know, if there's 1 or 2 people out there that are watching this and you're curious about this game, like I said, I highly recommend seeking out a copy. Just make sure when you buy it on eBay or wherever it is, make sure it's got the VIP golden ticket inside so you can see the naked chicks, okay? Alright, I'm going to cut it off there. I don't know what game I'm going to get to next. I'm not quite sure if I'm going to go back to Starfield. I've got a few other games I want to chip away at. I put a couple of hours into Cruisin' Blast on the Switch today as well, so got lots on the go. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks so much for watching. You people are wonderful and beautiful, and you take care.